Morning, welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. We are in Maseches Kiddushin, and we are about to finish the Masechta Amud Hashem in 3 days. I hope everything goes well. Be'ezras Hashem, we'll be able to finish Masechta soon. So now we are still in Daf Hey Aleph Amud Aleph. We are we're in the middle of the wide lines, but I would start again from Omar of Kahana to quickly summarize from Omar of Kahana. Let's start from Omar of Kahana, which is the second line from the narrow lines, towards the end of the narrow lines, second to last in the narrow lines. Omar of Kahana. Anoshim mibachutz v'anoshim mibifnim ein choshishin mishim yichud. What does that mean? So we saw as follows. Let's say you have two rooms. Yeah, one room has two rooms are adjacent. One of them has men inside, and one of them has women inside. Okay, one is the men's room, the women's room. Men are outside. Outside means the men are occupying the room that is closer to the outside world, so to speak. Women are in the inner room, right? There is no reason for the men to go to the women, but for the women to the men, yes, because people go out through the inner room, yeah, from the inner room through the outer room to the outside world, to the main door of the office. There's no chashash of yichud. Why? Because the problem is for a man to be misyached with two women or more, according to some Rishonim. And therefore, if the man is on the outside, he has nothing to look for on the inside. The man is on the outside, right? The women are inside. For the man to go to the inner room, what's he doing there? He has no reason to be there. Yeah, there's no chashash of yichud. What's a chashash? A woman from the inner office or the inner room, as she walks home, she walks out of the, let's say, chasana hall, she walks out of a shiur, as noshim, she walks towards the men, she may have a good excuse to stay by the men, but that's not a problem, because one woman with a few men is okay. That's one way. Now, anoshim b'fnim, anoshim b'chutz, choshishin mishum yichud, as I just explained, yeah? Men inside and women outside, there's a chashash of yichud. Why? Then I'm just going to say again, if the men are inside, they have a good excuse. Any man who wants to go out and be misyached with a woman in the outer room, he has a good excuse. Why? He's on his way out. He has a reason to be by the women. He's on his way out. And therefore, there's a chashash. There we are concerned because of yichud. That's what we say. The Masnitzatana Ipcha. In the Mishnah, we learn just the other way around. In the Braisa, Rav Kahana seems to be saying against the Braisa. What does the Braisa say? The Braisa says, and that's the other way around. What does the Braisa say? If the men are on the outside, women on the inside, there's more of a chashash. Why? If a man is really naughty and he wants to be misyached with the women that are inside, what's going to be? No other men will see him. He'll be undisturbed because no other men will go to the women's room because it's not something part of the natural course. It's not part of the trajectory to go home, to go outside, to go to the end of the wedding. Get what I'm saying? And therefore, that's the other way around. So Amar Abaye, hashta doma of kana hachi, v'tana masnisa ibcha, says Abaye, I don't know what to do. On one hand, Rav Kahana says one way. The Brisa says the other way. We're machmir both ways. So I ask the question, what does it mean machmir both ways? What does it practically mean? So really means, says the Meiri, I saw the Meiri, so the Rambam also, I saw the Shulchan Aruch. The Meiri says, enochinami. If you have men and women, ironically, what we see over here is that if you have men and women in one room, many men and many women, it's not yichud. It's not yichud. Let's say you have a simcha, right? Many people, and there's no mechitza. Yeah, maybe you can say it's a question whether it's tzanu or not. Depends on the minhag of the family. The sheva brochas, erusin, the bris. But the Maisa, there's no problem of yichud. There's no problem of yichud because everybody can openly see when you reach a woman. Nobody's going to start doing something really bad in front of a whole load of people. Mashe'en ken when officially you have two rooms, one next to the other. One is meant to be only men, one only women, and then a man. That's worse. Why? That's worse. Why is it worse? Because in such a situation, a man may sneak into the women unofficially and do whatever he wants. And the women, as we said, they cover up for each other. So what do you do? So you can't have men and women a separate wedding. It's better to have a mixed one. Now comes the Gemara with a final solution. Abaye. Dair Gulfi, Rova Dair Kona. Oh, Sabai and Rova, each one placed an item. Yeah, Abaye Dair Gulfi. Abaye, in that border line between the men's room and the women's room, instead of a mechitza, they would have something even better. Maybe a mechitza is also good, by the way. Maybe a mechitza is good because, but better than mechitza even, they would have pieces of clay or shards or little jugs that if anybody goes in, oh, anybody crosses the border, everybody knows about it. Oh, that's a good deterrent. You can't sneak in because everybody knows you're on the other side of the mechitza. And a rove would just place all kinds of reeds that as you step on them, everybody hears a crunch and everybody knows the men came into the women's side. And that's a warning for the men. And that's why it's okay. That's the opinion of Rashi and the Ritva and the Meiri. The Rambam has a different shot. You know the Rambam says? The Rambam says, we're talking here b'di'evid. We're not talking here how to design your kosher office, yeah, to have something between the men and the women. Today they can do maybe like with this gling along the bells. The man's side, women's side, and in between there should be like a bell. Anytime a man or woman passes, everybody knows, oh, somebody came into the room, better know what's going on here. Yeah, he can't just sneak in and do whatever he wants without being noticed. Mashe'en Ken, when he talks about the Rambam says we're talking about the Eved. If a man came into the women, it's called Yichud. If a man, let's say a man is allowed, according to some people, a man is allowed to have Yichud with 3, 4, 5 women, only with 2 he can't have. 3 or more, they're not going to cover up for each other, they don't have time to do that for everyone. But then, if a man is with women in such a situation, it's more dangerous because of what we said, and then he's not allowed. Weiter. Omar Avin, let's just continue, although we saw it yesterday. Omar Avin, says Avin, Sak v'deshata rigla. The worst part of the year, funnily enough, is the regel, the Yom Tov. Why? Because we know that that's when people they have too much time on their hands. Chalamoid, people go either to the Shiur, even in the Shiur, men, women start talking. Simchas Beis HaSheva, the parks, all kinds of amusement areas. That's a holiday time. Is the time which is very that's the Achilles heel of the year. That's when people have to notice. And the Tosafos says over here that that's why there's the tiniest bahab. What we said last week, Tosafos says. Yeah, Tosafos says, Lekach nogu lisanos la'achar Pesach u'la'achar Sukkos. The reason when people fast Monday, Thursday, Monday after Pesach and Sukkot is because of those situations. Tosafos says, Kvutzas anoshim v'noshim noisnin ayin zeh al zeh. They look at each other in the drosha as the Rav is talking. They're busy looking at the women, the men. Yeah, I guess there's no proper mechitza. Even then, there's interaction. Hanach Shviyoso. Here we restart the story we saw last week. Hanach Shviyoso. There were these captured girls. They were finally released from Imach Shimam. And who is the one who released them? They came to Nardoe. Askin al Rav Amram Chasida. Rav Amram was a Chosid, was a pious person. And that Rav Amram, he was in charge of the, dealing with that operation of liberty, of liberating them, of freeing the Shvuyos. They brought him to his house, Ashkulu Darga Mikamayu. So, of course, they let the girls be upstairs in the upper floor, and they removed the ladder from under the girls, so the girls and Rav Amram cannot interact with each other, because otherwise one of them has to jump very high up or very high down. Very low down. They removed the staircase between the upper floor and the lower floor. That's to make it safe. While one of them was passing by the skylight of the aliyah of the upper floor, and you can see what's going on upstairs from the downstairs. So the light from her face was shining through the mouth of that window. Through the window. And Rav Amram was all of a sudden, his kivyochol crazy yetzer hara attacked Rav Amram to be with that girl, so beautiful, light, whatever that means, something above nature. Shakal Rav Amram ledarga. So Rav Amram all of a sudden managed to take that ladder, that mobile staircase. 10 people couldn't have schlepped it alone. He managed to take it on his own. The koyach of yetzer hara is so strong. Salik Vazil, he started going up and up. When he reached half the stairs, let's say there were 20 stairs, he reached number 10, let's say. Ifshach. So he all of a sudden, he basically stood like with his legs open, to hold himself back. He stood like that, legs out, open. Ramakala, and he started screaming, Nura be Amram, there's fire in Amram's house. He wanted to call people, the people of the neighborhood, to come and extinguish the fire, so he should be ashamed of them. Wow, unbelievable. It was asking him to be ashamed. Can you imagine the main Rav, a chassid in this place, a leader? Yeah, and he preferred being ashamed in this world and not in the world to come. Wow. So he started screaming, Nur be Amram. Do you think he was lying? The Maharsha says he wasn't lying. Really, when he said fire is here, he meant the fire of the yetzer hara. As we'll see later, there's fire attacking me. The fire of the yetzer hara of Znus so strong, he's just overtaking me. Also Rabbanon. So Rabbanon came. The fire squad, i.e., is Rabbanon. The Talmidim came. Amalek Siftinan, you made us ashamed. You put us to shame because now we're ashamed that a Rebbe is Kivyachol is after women. Omar lehu. So he told them, "Mutabti kasfu be'amr ba'alma dein, lo tikasfu minei la'alma de'osi." It's better that you'll be ashamed, yeah, in the house of Amram in this world, lo tikasfu minei la'alma de'osi. Yeah, you shouldn't have shame for me in the world to come. Had I continued my trajectory and go up the stairs to that girl, things would have finished much, much worse in Olam Haba. Yeah, and therefore it's better to have some shame here and not to have great shame over there. So now that also tells us over here in this world, if people have issues with tznius, what many people do, they have to seek help. They have to not be ashamed and ask the rabbi, ask an expert what to do with the issues that the person has. Otherwise, it will end up much worse. So now what happens later? Ashbei din pakminei. Rav Amram Chasida, as opposed to any one of us, he had the power to be mashbia, to make the yetzer hara swear that he should leave him. Get out of here. He managed to be mashbia, the yetzer hara, to obligate him with an oath. Get out of my sight. Nofak minei ki amuda denura. Oh, he really left him like a pillar of fire. Omar Le, so now Rav Amram realized that the yetzer hara really is physically fire. Chazi, look, the at nura v'ano bisra, you're fire and I am flesh. Like the Sfardim say in the Zmiris. Yeah, ani basar v'hu eish. Yeah, in other words, the yetzer is fire and I'm flesh. Look, so who's stronger? Normally, the fire consumes the flesh. But here, no, v'ana difna minach, but I'm better than you. You see, because of the koich of Torah, and tefillah and ruchnias, you can overcome the yetzer. I'm better than you. That although I'm physical and you're metaphysical, you're fire, I can overcome. Look, like it can be mashbia and kick you out of my sight or through Torah. It says if a person has yetzer overtaking him, he should immerse himself in Torah, and Torah is the best remedy for yetzer hara, as we saw in Daf Lamed Amud Beis. Rabbi Meir, yes, Rabbi, question time. Exactly, emotions are hard to define. True. Rabbi Meir have a mitloitzitz b'over aveira. This is another one. Rabbi Meir, he would make fun of over aveira. Says Rashi, what does it mean? Oimer shenokel u'lizgaber al yitzro im hoyu roisim. Rabbi Meir would belittle people do aveira. He would say, had they wanted to, they could have overcome. You all know about this over aveira, the other one. If you only wanted to, he could have done better. That's what Rabbi Meir always said. That annoyed Mr. Yetzer Hara because you're basically saying I'm above the Yetzer, and that's what happened to David HaMelech. David HaMelech, how did the whole story with Bathsheba happen? David said, "V'libi chalol b'kirbi." David believed he achieved a certain stages in life, and the Yetzer doesn't attack him anymore. And it's not true. It's never true. He can be the biggest tzaddik. He can be 100 years old. Still, the Yetzer is somewhere out there. And that's a message time and again. And you can't tell me because you grew up in Tel Aviv or Miami or Los Angeles, San Francisco, you're immune because I've seen all the preachers. It's not true. The Tzara is new every time. So you saw preachers 10 times, even though it's worse. So now you'll see more preachers. It's worse. Yeah. Or if you're a big tzaddik, you're enclosed in Bnei Brak and Mea Shearim your whole life. Still the Tzara is there. It's everywhere. So now Rabbi Meir, what was his story? He would make fun of Rabbi Avera. Yom Echad, we are in Daf Pei Aleph Amud Aleph. 1 to about 10 or so lines from the bottom of the page. Yeah, kind of the middle of the wide lines. The Satan one day sort of incorporated himself, looked like a woman, I guess a good-looking woman, I assume, on the other side of the river. There was no boat or ferry to go from one side of the river. So Rabbi Meir was one side of the river, and the Satan dressed like A woman looking like a woman was on the other side of the river. You know what Rabbi Meir did? Nokat matzra ve'ka'ova. And matzra, says Rashi, there's like a small, like a rope. He took a rope and he passed with the rope like Omega. Like he passed with a rope with a narrow bridge, which was there was a very narrow bridge. He basically almost risked his life with a narrow bridge and this, like, held by a rope. This very precarious kind of, passing way to pass the river in order to meet that woman and have what he wants to have with her. Kimata palga matzah, halfway through shavke, the yetzer hara left him. The yetzer hara chapped him, and then the yetzer hara left him. Omar says the yetzer hara to Rabbi Meir, if not for the fact that right now in Shamayim they announced in Shamayim, Izaru Rabbi Meir v'terosoi. Yeah, basically in Shamayim they warned the yetzer hara, stop it, stop bothering Rabbi Meir. Beware, be careful with the Rabbi Meir and his Torah. If not for me receiving commands from above, from my senders to stop, you know what I would have done? Shavita l'domech tartimoi. I would have turned your blood into tartimoi, into pennies. Tartimoi, 2 mois is always the smallest amount of anything being worth anything. Shtei mois is, let's say, korban chagiga is korban re'iyah, oilus re'iyah is shtei mois, or the taina of moide b'miktsas is tartimoi. Tartimoi is a small amount. In other words, it's more than a fruit. It's not a small less than fruit, but it's like the smallest thing you can buy something significant with. Basically, the Yetzer told him, I would have made you into kishkis. I would have made you into nothing. You think that you can make fun of Evra Avera? You, the great Rabbi Meir, if not for your Torah, I could have turned you into nobody and make your blood, your yetzer, showing how worthless you are. You're like worth pennies. Why is that so? How come these great rabbis really had such yetzer hara? Because the Gemara says at the end of Sukkah, a famous line, Marsha says it to the greater the person, the greater the yetzer. Just a tshuva last night about it also. The greater the person is, he has more yetzer toiv and more yetzer hara. Because the yetzer hara wants to chap the tzaddikim. The tzaddik is worth 1,000,000, not 100. So who does the yetzer hara wants to chap? The one worth 1,000,000. He wants to hit the jackpot. And therefore the yetzer hara is bothering the tzaddikim. Also, the level of sensitivity is higher. So they immerse themselves in Torah to not be involved in Averis. Once they get out of Torah a little bit, 1 second, they're always in a higher risk. It's like the more sensitive you are, the more you're at risk of that you're sensitive from. Rabbi Akiva v'misloitzes b'Evra Avera. Very, very similar story to Rabbi Meir is with Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva would make fun of Evra Avera, saying the same thing. Evra Avera, if they really wanted to, they could have managed. No, don't tell me all your excuses. Again, the Satan came to Rabbi Akiva appearing in the shape of a woman, Beresh Dikla, on top of the palm tree. Nakte Dikla v'kasalik. Rabbi Akiva didn't take much, and boom, started walking, climbing up and up the palm tree. The Azil kept going. Kimat el palge Dikla, as it reached half the palm tree, Shavke. Then the yetzer hara, boom, let go. Omar, same thing. Said the yetzer hara, the Satan and yetzer hara are the same. That's what the Gemara says in Bavabasa Daf Yud Zayin. Huma lechamovis hu Satan yetzer hara. It's all the same entity. So the yetzer hara left him in the middle of the road, and he said, "Ilav de machizi berakia, izdaru berakia v'terosoi, shavit el domach tarti mai." If not that in Shamayim they announced, "Be careful, leave alone." Give respect to Rabbi Akiva and his Torah. If in Shamayim they wouldn't have told me to leave you, I would have turned your blood into nothing, into worthless 2 pence, 2 moi. Playmo. Another story, but this one is not about women, but it is about the yetzer hara that's attacking people and coming to the person dressed and basically personifies himself in all kinds of ways. Playmo was, one second, Playmo da moiro, Playmo. Have a rogi lemeimar. Playmo always used to say, "Kol Yomi." Every day he would tell the yetzer hara, "Gira beinei the Satan." He spoke to the Satan. He didn't speak to Hashem. He said to the Satan himself, "I'm putting arrows in your eyes." In other words, whenever, let's say, the yetzer hara wanted to attack him, so his response would be to figuratively, to verbally throw the schitzim, the gira, than arrows in the eyes of the Satan. But the Satan didn't like that. Apparently, the Satan, the yetzer hara Satan, was provoked by that direct, direct approach of Playmo. Yom Echad, so the Satan decided to take revenge of the Satan. Yom Echad Malu Yomi de Kippuri Hava. One day it was Erev Yom Kippur. Idmile Ke'anya. The yetzer hara looked like, personified himself as a poor person. Asa Kora Abova. He went and knocked on the door, on the gate of the house of Playmo. Apikula Rifta. They saw a poor man. They took some bread and took it out. They handed him over. They brought him out some bread. Omar Lei or Lehu, there's a version. He told them, such he was a bit of an audacious guy. He said, such a day, Erev Yom Kippur, everyone's inside and I'm outside. It's Erev Yom Kippur, you're not ashamed of yourself. Why am I outside and everyone inside? Okay, so they were nice to him. They brought him in, they invited him in, and they brought him some bread, but he was sitting apart from everybody else. Omar Lei or Lahu, he told them, such a day, today everyone's sitting by the table and I'm sitting on my own. In other words, the family was sitting by a big table, the table in the middle. Why am I sitting by myself? I want to sit with you guys. So they were so nice. Yeah, very nice, pleasant guest. So they brought him to the main table. You know how it looked like? Now you understand why they were a bit resistant at the beginning. His body was full of shchin, of all kinds of sores and pussy wounds, all kinds. He looked very disgusting. He did all kinds of disgusting things. Yeah, he would like scratch and pull and peek and poke. He would like looked really, really disgusting with all the pus and all the sores. So they told him, Tiv Shapir, sit nicely. Yeah, the Bnei Abayis told him, Tiv Shapir, sit nicely. Stop your nonsense. So he ignored them and he told them, Avuli Kasa, bring me a cup. Okay? Or Mazgulikos, bring me a cup with wine. Yavuli Kasa, they brought him the cup. Akmar, so he basically, he sneezed. No, he coughed. He coughed. He coughed shade bekicha. He coughed and he coughed all the mucus and all the disgusting things into the cup. Nachu at that happy note, they really they told him off. They told him off his bad behavior. Shaka v'mis. He pretended to be dead. The Satan at that point, feigned as if he's dead. He looked as if he's dead. Made it. He faked it as if the poor man is dead. Zoom died. Zoom is also dead. Let's hope Zoom is back to life.
He couldn't take it.
Right. Zoom found it too disgusting, the story. I also said it to my family on Shabbos and they couldn't take it either. Okay, fine. We're on, we're recorded. Very good. He pretended to be dead. Shamu, all of a sudden, that was part of the trick of the yetzer hara. Shamu Kamri, they heard noises saying outside, play Makotel Gavra, play Makotel Gavra. Yeah, they heard noises, commotion, people saying it wasn't true. It was all a fantasy, a mirage. They heard noises saying, Playmo killed someone, Playmo killed someone. As if Playmo, the Balabais, somebody died in his house. Even today, right? The police would have investigated. How come someone died in your house? Orak, so Playmo ran away, and hid himself in the toilet outside town. Because their toilets were in the forest or in the field outside town. Yeah, he fled to the toilet, so not to be discovered by the police. Yeah. Ozil Basre, now the yetzer hara who woke up, whichever he wasn't dead, the Satan followed him, Nofal Kamei, and he fell in front of him. Now the Maharsha says that he wasn't surprised. He thought that there are two explanations in the Maharsha. Now he's in toilet now, hiding, Rav Playmo, seeing that man coming and falling here, dying here. So then, what does it mean? How come wasn't he surprised to see the dead man walking? So either thought it's a different man, he looked like a different person, or he thought, before he was only pretending, now he's really dead. The yetzer hara feigning death again. He saw that Flame was really sorry. He felt now Plema was really genuinely sorry about what happened. Then Galil Nafshe, then he revealed his cards. Game over. He took off the mask. He told him, I'm the yetzer hara. I'm the yetzer hara. Wow. So now you told him, you see, now you're sorry. Now you learned your lesson. I took you through, I took you through and through and through. Yeah, I took you a walk through not a walk in the park at all. I took you through hell and back. Now I'm telling you, I'm the Sultan. Omar Lay. So now they're having an open conversation about the relationship, the Sultan and Plemo. And the Sultan is asking him, my time, Omar Tachi, why did you talk about me like that? Yeah. Why did you always curse me? The Sultan is insulted. Why do you curse me? So Plemo said, how should I say? In other words, I want you to, every time you tried attacking me, you wanted me to sin. I wanted to say something in response to you. How can I stave you off in order to reject you so you shouldn't make me sin? Omar Le, he told him, you shouldn't have addressed me. You should have addressed the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You should have asked Hashem, Nigar Bebesoton, which is Yigar Hashem Bechosoton. It's a pasuk. We saw something in this week's Haftarah. The Haftarah we read yesterday, but Yoshua Kohen, it says there that Hashem was go'er, Hashem rebuked, Hashem scolded the Satan, don't start with my children. So you should have asked the Kadosh Baruch Hu to basically remove the Satan away from you. Don't talk to the Satan, talk to Kadosh Baruch Hu to take care of business that he should help you to be Yiras Shamayim. The Meforshim here, all kinds of Meforshim, Maharsha and others, they say, Yiras Shamayim is up to us, right? Not up to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Why are you asking Hashem for help with Yiras Shamayim? It's true. Yiras Shamayim is up to the person. Hakol b'dei Shamayim chutz mi Yiras Shamayim. Everything is up to Hashem except for your own Yiras Shamayim. That's true, but we can ask Hashem that our heart, it's up to us. We're the one doing it. We're deciding. We have to ask Hashem to help us find the right path, and He should help us advance and go further and better in the right direction. Haboli Tayr Messiah Noisoi. Yeah, the Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Kuf, something, Kuf, or something, the beginning of the Kufs. The Gemara says, whoever wants to be pure, Hashem would help him. First, you should ask Hashem, Hashem, from now on, I want a new way. I want to become good. I want to become pure. I want to stop the nonsense. Please help me. Hashem would help me. Rabbi Chia Barashi. Rabbi Chia Barashi, now the best one comes. Rabbi Chia Barashi Averogil. Rabbi Chia Barashi used to call Idan Davenofal Leape. He used to, meaning whenever he would do Nefilas Apayim, right? Nefilas Apayim, Shavuos is over, Pesach is over, we do Nefilas Apayim again. What would he say when he would be calling Nefilas Apayim? He would have said, Have Omar, he would have always added a tefillah, Arachamon Yetzirenu Yetzer Hara. Hashem should help us, himself included, from yetzer hara. And he meant yetzer hara of women. That's the strongest yetzer hara, we all know. One time his wife heard him. His wife overheard him saying, Hashem should help me from yetzer hara. Omro, so his wife was very surprised. What's going on here? I know, my man. It's been a good few years that he doesn't touch me. It's Polish, maybe touches her. We haven't had relations, intimacy for quite few years. My time why is he saying that? Why is he bothered with the yetzer hara? In other words, Rashi says that she assumed it's because of zikna. He's an old man. If he's old, he claimed, I'm old, I can't help you. I can't be a man, in the room because I'm too old. So if you're so old, why are you concerned with yetzer hara? You can't do it with me. You can't do it with anybody else. And then other thoughts came to her mind, according to the Malshor. Others, maybe he's not so old. Maybe he's capable of doing the deed, yeah. But he's not interested in being with me. And then she's upset. She wants oina. Even older women, they want oina. It's a mitzvah from the man to the woman. So she wants a mitzvah oina. What's going on here? Is he really unable? Or is he just faking he's unable because he's a big tzaddik and then I want what I deserve? Yom Echad, she decided to put him to the test. Yom Echad, one day he was sitting and learning in this garden. Tashta Nafsha, that woman, his wife, she made herself beautiful. She basically, she beautified herself. Chalfa Vitanya Kamei, and she kept walking back and forth in front of him in the garden, in the outside garden. He didn't know it was his wife. Guess she dressed very differently and very young, a lot of makeup. I don't know exactly what it was. and Chalfa Kameh, and then what? Omar lo manat. He asked her, "Who are you?" This lady coming to his garden. Omro. So she told him, "Ana Cherusa. My name is Cherusa." Cherusa was a famous prostitute in that town. Yeah, and Zoyne Nikeos, she was known to be the harlot of the town. The Hadrim Yoima. Today I came back. Today I came back. She was on a business trip or something. I don't know. She was away. Hard day's night. Yeah, I came back today. Tovo. He demanded her to do the business. Yeah. By the way, before we continue, the Mefoshim explained that she wasn't lying. There's another explanation here that instead of cherusa, there's another version chedvosa. Chedvosa means joy, also the joy of relations. So basically, she said, "I'm chedvosa," meaning she was hinting to him. He didn't really know. I'm your wife. Today I came back. I want to return a relationship. You get what I'm saying? I'm Chedvasa, I'm Mrs. Happy. I want to be happy and rejuvenate our life together. There was only a hint, though. He didn't know it was his wife. Yeah. Tova, and he thought she was a Zoina, and he demanded, let's do the business. That's your profession. Amrale, she told him, well, you have to give me something. That's the way it works. I sin yale lach romana. Bring me that rimon, bring me that pomegranate, the resh tutzisa, yeah, on top of the dekel. I don't know. The Meforshim don't know why the rimon is on top of a palm tree. Interesting, but give me some fruit that's up there. Shovar, he jumped. An old man managed to jump all the way up to bring her what's necessary to continue the Maisa mitzvah. Ozal Asya Nihala, and he brought her that rimon. He brought her the sachar. And now there's a question if he really did the Maisa or not. The Pasha Pshat, which I saw in the Me'iras on the Rishonim, he did the Maisa. It's his wife, but he thought it was a Zoina. Yeah. He also lebese. Then he went back home. Now his wife already managed to dress back to the normal clothes. Yeah. His wife was basically warming up, heating up the oven. She was about to cook supper. He jumped into the oven. He jumped into the oven in order to commit suicide. I saw them before him. They say that not that this is recommended, but sometimes great tzaddikim, they're so besides themselves, they're so ashamed and can't basically deal with it. They would jump off the roof because of the avera that they committed. It's a big issue in halacha. When is suicide possible? There's an issue about it. Don't try it at home. Don't try it at home or outside home. Don't go to Tel Aviv and jump off a big building. But there is an issue about it. That's what he wanted to do. Again, it's a discussion. The yetzer, his idea was to commit suicide, but again, I guess the fire wasn't yet hot enough because they had a conversation. Omalei, my hi. She asked him, "What's the story? Why are you committing suicide?" "Hey, darling, good evening. Why are you suicidal today? What's the problem?" Amar lo, so he told her, "Hachi v'achi ava ma'isa." He was very honest and he admitted what happened. He said, "So and so happened." In other words, that's Zoyna Cherusa Chedvasa. She came and we did what we did. Amalei, Anahavoi, don't worry, it was me. It was me. It wasn't a Zoyna. It was me, your wife. Loi ashkach bo. He didn't listen to her. He didn't believe her. He thought she was trying to appease him. Adi avale simoni. Until she gave him signs. In other words, she basically told him things that nobody else could have known about the Maisa. Maybe about that special fruit, the rimon and the deco. She told him exactly what happened. Nobody else was there. So he realized that she's right, that the so-called Zoina was really his tzaddikus of a wife. Omar lo, so he told her, "I know it's very nice you're trying to appease me, but anomi chavni. I, miha, at the end of the day, nevertheless, I meant for an isser. I meant to do something forbidden. I didn't know it was you. So what is this like? Somebody wants to eat McDonald's, and really it's bedatz. But he thought it was a cheeseburger of McDonald's. Really, it was McDavid, right? The Gemara is going to give this example. All his days, that tzaddik, all his days he would be betainis. He would basically afflict himself by being misane, by fasting until he died from fasting. In other words, he was so besides himself, so sorry, so regretful of what he did, of not really doing an avera, but thinking he did an avera, even though it wasn't an avera, that he felt that remorse his entire life, and he died from that tsar and that fasting, that tiness from what he did. Who said it's such a bad thing? In other words, at the end of the day, he didn't do anything wrong. It was his wife. All's very good. He meant, yeah, but you need the proof for that. He really took it hard. How do you know that it's a problem? I'll give you something very interesting hashkafically soon. The Tanya. Let's continue a few more lines. The Tanya. It says, we're going to read it in a few parshas from now. It says in the Brisa, quoting the beginning of, not the very beginning, the beginning of Matos, halachos of Nedorim. We all know that if a husband hears his wife's neder, talking in general, she's noider quinam alai yellow cheese. Okay, she can't have yellow cheese. Stop this nonsense, says the husband, either with or without her knowledge. In the same day that he hears that she is off yellow cheese and he thinks it's stupid, she says, I'm annulling your neder, yes, yellow cheese, and you eat yellow cheese and stop your nonsense. Now, let's say the woman said, I'm a Nazira. That's very hard for a husband. What's a Nazira? She'll never cut her hair. That's nice up to a point, you know. She'll never drink wine, not in Kiddush, right? She has to go away for Kiddush. She'll never go to Levias. Which husband would agree to that? So let's say wife decided, I'm a Nazira, and the husband said, darling, stop the nonsense. I'm hereby annulling your neder. The Tanya, look what the Gemara has to say about that, the Braisa. Isha hafeiram, the husband may nullify their neder. For example, Nizirus, for example, the Hashem yislachla, and Hashem should forgive her. Why should Hashem forgive her? What's the problem? Right? Get the question? What does it mean? Yeah. If she's now not Nazira, that's absolutely fine. Why? Because her husband told her not to be a Nazira, and what he says goes. Frek the Braisa, the McKosher medaber. What's the pasuk for talking about that the woman needs kapara? The Isha shenodro benozir. The Shama Baila Veiterlo. She decided I'm a Nazira, not decided. She made a vow. Hare ani Nazira. Hare Nazirus olai, I'm a Nazira. Her husband heard about it either that day or later, and on the day of upon hearing it, that day, hey for law, he heard it, and he annulled the vow, the Nazirus. Opa. She didn't know that the husband was Mayfair. That's a business. He did it alone in the room in front of other people. She had no idea that the husband was Mayfair. So she thought she's a Nazira, while in reality, she wasn't a Nazira, but she thought she was, and look what she did, naughty girl. Opa. She drank wine, she kept drinking wine, she kept going to Levi's and touching dead people. Upa. So really, in her mind, she's doing an Avera time and again. She's supposed to be a Nazira with long hair, and yet she behaves, she lives a life of rightly. She does whatever she wants. And although she's not a Nazira, she thinks she is. That's exactly our story, right? That's a story. It's like eating chazir. You're not really eating chazir. The guy says, no, taking off the kippah, going to McDonald's, mina shamayim, instead of cheeseburger, it's really, what is it, soy. It's only, fake meat and artificial cheese. But he thinks it's real. So he thinks, I'm having cheeseburger. What fun. First time in my life. And really it's kosher, right? So is that a reason to ask Hashem for forgiveness? Yes. It says Hashem yislach lo. Means Hashem shall forgive her. So she needs to ask Hashem for forgiveness and Hashem will forgive her. Meaning this is something that's not good, that begs, that demands forgiveness from Hashem. So the same story with Reb Chia bar Ashi. Although he thought he was with his Zoino, but although he was with his wife, he thought he was with his Zoino. That alone requires kaporo, and he took it very, very seriously. More on the same. Rabbi Akiva, similar a source for the same idea. Rabbi Akiva kevemati lai psuka have a bachi. When Rabbi Akiva would have reached a certain pasuk as he was learning the Chumash, he reached a certain pasuk, would have cried. He started crying. Omar, he said, somebody meant to eat chazir, right? And then instead Hashem was nice to him, and instead of chazir by mistake, he ate tole, he ate mutton, he ate lamb, mutton also, Americans call it, yeah. So in other words, he made the mistake on the mistake. So yet you need kapara v'slicha. Okay. By the way, I made a mistake here because I think here Rabbi Akiva, the pasuk that he reached is this pasuk. Later we'll see another source. No, this is the same pasuk. The pasuk that Rabbi Akiva cried was the pasuk Isha Hafer Vashem Yislachla. Just like the woman thinks the wine is treif for her and it's kosher, so too, you mean to eat something treif and really it's bedatzeh the charedis. You don't know the taste of chazir, you're a frum guy. You think you're eating chazir, really it's some interesting kind of steak. You didn't do an avera, and yet you need a kapara. I'll soon explain why. I'll explain why. Nishin is kaven lechol b'sar chazir. Ve'olo b'yad b'sar chazir alachas kama v'kama. Oy, 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 oy. A person who meant to eat chazir and happy end did not arrive. No, it ended up with being real chazir. The cheeseburger was real. The chazir was real. Alachas kama v'kama. Endless amount of kapara and slicha needs from Hashem. How much? Yeah, how much more so? Yes, there's kapara from Hashem. Before we get to the next, no, let's get to the two dots, and then I'll tell you the idea which you want to share. Similar. Oh, here comes the other source. Here comes the other source. Here comes the other thing. Similar to that, you can say, you can now bring a proof from another source. It says, yeah, at the beginning of Vayikra, hey, Veloyoda ve'oshem v'noso avoinoi. Oh, a person is not aware of the fact that he's oshem, that he's guilty, and he bears his sin. He bears his sin. What does it mean? That's talking about, well, there's a general case and a particular case. What happens if a person made a mistake on Shabbos and he broke Shabbos by mistake, thinking that it's Sunday? What does he have to do? No, that's regular chatos. Oshem Tolu is, for example, if he broke Shabbos and he wasn't sure if it's Shabbos or not. Yeah, in the time, let's say Ben Hashmoshes. Yeah, Ben Hashmoshes of 2 days, Erev Shabbos and Motzei Shabbos, twice. You lit the cigarette. So then there's a shaila whether it was Shabbos or not Shabbos, and he thought that it's Sunday. It's a suffix on top of a suffix. He's mistaken, and it's a suffix. For example, I'll give you a good example of the Gemara. Let's say somebody ate something, and afterwards they told, which he thought was kosher, afterwards they told him that it's a maybe treif, maybe it's chaylev. Yeah, then it's Osham Tolui. Osham Tolui means it's a maybe chatos. Yeah, it's not for sure. And maybe chatos is an Osham until you figure out what the story was. It helps you to have kapara from Yisurim for now. So now, when Rabbi Akiva reached that pasuk about the person who makes a mistake, a type of mistake, besofek, he would cry. Why would he cry? A person wanted to eat shuman and ate chelev, or maybe even sofek chelev, right? Either chelev, that's chatas, or sofek chelev is noshim tolui. He has to bring a korban. There is a sin, there is a voin, there is some kind of guilt over here. If you meant to eat chelev and unfortunately was successful in his endeavor to do an avera, all the more so he has to ask forgiveness from Hashem. Basically, the two sources: one is just a lav without a korban. The second one is with a korban. Isa ben Yehuda says, "V'lo yoda ve'oshem v'nosa avoinoi." V'lo yoda ve'oshem v'nosa avoinoi. The same pasuk. Al dover zeh yidvu kol advuim. And on that, all criers should cry. Anybody says Rashi who has the heart to cry should cry over this. So I saw a very nice idea in the Mefoshim. Look at the Rosh Tevas. Ve'lo yoda ve'yoda ve'oshem v'nosa is Yud Dalet Vov Vov. Yidvu yoda ve'oshem v'nosa is Rosh Tevas Yidvu. The Torah is giving you a hint over here. You don't know, you're guilty, and you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. You can't just sit even misofek and say, it was a maybe, it was a mistake, it's all fine, it's all hunky-dory. No, you have to live in life of accountability. Now, I'll just explain some mashkafik idea. Rabbi Chonon Wasserman brings down that every sin and every mitzvah have two aspects. Yeah, aspect number one, the mitzvahs of itself is something good, really brings goodness to the world, to the upper worlds, and every avera destroys the upper worlds and our world. That's first, even without Hashem saying so. Once Hashem, that's the way the creation is. Once Hashem in our scene, I told us a few weeks ago in Shavuos, I'm telling you to keep Shabbos. I'm forbidding you from eating chazir. There's a second layer here. There's an added aspect of obeying or disobeying Hashem. So every time you do a mitzvah, there are two aspects. You're doing something good to the world, and you're obeying Ratzon Hashem. And when you disobey Hashem, you're doing something intrinsically bad. Plus, the mere fact you disobey Hashem is there. You tell your child, go tidy your room. And he tidies the room. It happens once, Yoivel, yeah? And then what? Two good things happen. He actually listened to you. Wow, that's nice. Stam, wow, he listens to what I said. B, the room is tidy, right? The actual listening and the result, the effect. Oh, here we're missing one thing. There was nothing bad really happened because he ate Bedat Seder Charedis meat. But the aspect of rebelling against Hashem, the aspect of disobeying Hashem is there. For that you have to say sorry. Because in your mind you are disobedient, so to speak. That's the idea. Weiter. More about Yichud. Ooh, we're behind. And I advertised everywhere that the Shiur Makos starts on Wednesday. So we better be quick. Yeah, let's continue. Misyached Odomim Imoi. So we saw in the Mishnah, Yichud with relatives is allowed. You see, a person is allowed to have Yichud with his mother, yeah, and with his daughter. What's funny? Yes, you can have Yichud for life. A person in an old single can live just the son and the mother alone. They can live in the house for the rest of their lives. It doesn't find a shidduch. Amar B'Yehuda Amar Rav Asi. Misyached Odom im achoy. So listen carefully to the different intonation of the words. Misyached Odom im achoy. A person may have yichud with his sister. The dar im imo v'im bitoy. Oh, a person may have yichud with his sister. Brother, sister can close themselves in the room and talk. No, have some nostalgia over 30 years ago. Brother, sister, all very nice. Talk about the family inheritance. But with the mother and the daughter, you can live with. What does it mean? With your sister, you're not allowed to live. With your sister, you're not allowed to live long term. I don't know if it's a month or 3 months. If parents go to Chutz La'aretz, to leave their teenager boy and girl alone is not simple. Ask your local rabbi before, preferably Orthodox. I don't remember the gather. It's not written in Shulchan Aruch. I think months or so, or even a few days. Or what? 30 days, I think. That's normal 30 days. Look, I think 30 days also. It's a month. So now, what's the difference? Rashi brings down, I have to bring a Rashi and Tosafos Rosh. Rashi says that with your relatives, if you're a normal man, unfortunately, some people are deviant in today's world, if you haven't noticed. No, you don't believe it, right? Of course. So then, a normal person has no lust or any yetzer hara to his mother or his daughter, right? Unless it's really a cuckoo, yeah? One of the GBT LMNOP, right? But if you're a normal guy, you're not, oh, what about the sister? So now, it says in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, yeah, Daf Samech Daled, that the yetzer hara, they wanted to kill the yetzer hara, but they didn't manage to kill him, because if you kill the yetzer hara, then even the chicken in the chicken, there's no eggs, right? There's no yetzer means no relations, no world, no children being born. What they managed to blind the yetzer hara. The yetzer hara looked like a fire of ball, a line of ball, a fire of ball, two versions. Basically, they basically poked his eyes of the yetzer, they poked his eyes out the yetzer hara. What did that help? Not to have attraction to your relatives. Yeah, interesting. So now, with the mother and the daughter, there was never an attraction. It was not a normal thing, bichlal. With the sister, there is no attraction as much as the mother or the daughter, but there's something a little bit. There could be something happening between brother and sister more than with mother, son, daughter. Brother and sister, that remedy didn't work 100%. It worked, but not all the way for the sister. The sister, too much time, 2 teenagers, still, it could happen more likely. I think by going, it does happen with Tommy nowadays because everything is normal. I don't know what's going on with them, Baruch Hashem. But, these things may happen. So that's why the yichud, yes, but long time, living together, no. Now, let me explain something else. No, they will explain soon. That's the first opinion. Ki Omer Kamei de Shmuel, says Rabbi Yehuda, when I said it in front of Shmuel, Omar, Osor Lisyachdim Kol Hara Shebatorah V'Afilu Behema. Wow. You're not allowed to have yichud with any erva in the Torah, not even with an animal. A man and an animal alone, a man and a goat, a man and a sheep, a man and a horse, I don't know what, a kangaroo. You can't have yichud, and not with any arais shebatorah, not even your mother, your daughter, your sister, anybody. Whoa, 1 second. Now, I know, first of all, it sounds heavy, but secondly, how could Shmuel say that? Frek the Tosafos Rosh, I had the question, Baruch Hashem, I saw the answer. It says in the Torah, what's the source of yichud? The son lives with the mother, and not with anybody else. How can Shmuel say against the Torah? You can't have yichud with your mother. The son and the mother can't live alone, can't be in yichud alone in the room. Every time the mother and the son are alone in the house, open the door. Okay, frumkeit, no problem. But lemaisa, how could that be? The Torah says you're allowed to be with your mother in the same room yichud. Says the Tosafos Rosh midorabanan. Enechanam, it's only isur derabanan. Isur derabanan. Yeah, midoraisa, it's absolutely fine. Shmuel believes that midorabanan there is an isur to be with to be yichud with your mother, and with a sister could be even isur deraisa, because the sister is not mentioned in the Torah laheter. Now, so Shmuel is an extreme opinion that either deraisa or derabanan. No, even with another man, two men together can't be closed in the room. Yeah, we're going to discuss men later tomorrow. And with a behema, man and behema alone, any potential creature or being that you can have relations that are forbidden, you can't have yichud with. Wow. Frag the Gemara, wait a second. Tanan, what did our Mishnah say? Shmuel is an amoiro. Look what our Mishnah said. Our very own Mishnah said, Tanan, you're allowed to have yichud with your mother and your daughter, and you can sleep in the same bed with them up to a certain age, bekir bosa, without clothes. Once you grow older, no, but definitely you can have yichud with mother and daughter. And you, Shmuel, tell me the midorabanan, it's not allowed, but the Mishnah says yes, allowed. With Yufte the Shmuel, the Mishnah doesn't fit what you're saying, because you're saying even mother or daughter are not allowed. One's mother and one's daughter are no, and the Mishnah says yes. Shmuel says, according to you, excuse me, you argue with me, I also have what to tell you. Oh, the Tanya, it says in the Brisa, look what the Brisa says. Achoisoi, his sister, v'chamoisoi, his mother-in-law, v'shal kol harayos shebatoiro, any other erva shebatoiro, any other forbidden relationship, potentially forbidden relationship in the Torah, any siachdim ela be'edim, you only allow yichud with them be'edim. The Meiri and others say it's not edim, it's ed, one person. In other words, you and your mother cannot be in the room alone, in the house alone, unless there's a third person there, another man or another woman, a neighbor, somebody, be'edim in, shelo be'edim loy. Only with edim, but without edim loy. Oh, so you see, there is a brisa that supports what I'm saying. Ela tanohi, very, very good. Machlokes tanoim, no problem. I follow one Tana, and you, Rav Yehuda Rav, you follow another Tana. Machlokes Rav Shmuel. In other words, Rav says you're allowed to have yichud with your mother, sister, daughter, close relatives, not with your mother-in-law, by the way. You're allowed to have yichud with the close relatives, and according to Shmuel, you can't. The Tanya. Here we have Tanoim who support Shmuel's side. Amar Bimeir, Hizaru b'mipnei biti. Make sure I don't have yichud with my own daughter, said Rabbi Meir. Wow, taking the more stringent approach. Yeah. And now, what did the other one say? Even more so. Amar B'Talfon Hizaru b'mipnei kalosi. Rabbi Talfon said, my daughter-in-law, don't allow me. Make sure I'm never alone with my daughter-in-law. You don't know what's going to happen. Ligla Golavaloitz Talmid, a certain Talmid in yeshiva, a certain student made fun of that, and he said, "Ma, mother-in-law, you know who's going to like his mother-in-law, right? His father-in-law, daughter-in-law." Look what happened at the end. Only a few days went by. Wow, that Talmid had relations with his mother-in-law, the one who made fun of Rabbi Talfon for being super frum, extra frum. He himself had relations with his mother-in-law. Now continues the Gemara to quote, Afilu in Behema. Yes, so we see that according to Shmuel, supported by some important Tanoim, you can't have yichud even with a Behema, your mother, mother-in-law, daughter, anybody. Even with an animal, who would think of an animal? But since an animal at the end of the day is what? Osir, you can't have relations with an animal. You don't have yetzer hara? Who cares? No. Whoever you can't have relations with, you can't close the door behind you. I don't care if you are normal, straight, LMNOP, GBTPP. Doesn't matter. You can't have relations with that human being or animal. You can't be alone with them. Give me a second, and I'm going to listen to your question soon. Abaye, now let's see some stories regarding that. Abaye, machlele mikule dabra. When Abaye was alone in the field to think and learning and ruchnes, to have his boydedus, breslev, he wanted to go out to the field, he would chase away all the animals from the field. He wanted to be alone, not even with an animal. And another opinion in Rashi says, he told the roim, he told the shepherds, a shepherd can't be alone with the sheep. Yeah, these things happen, by the way, in America too. Somebody told me, it's not so. Oh, these things happen around the world. I've heard from people. Of Sheishes me'aber limatzra. Rav Sheshes would always make sure that he's on one side and the animals are on the other side of the river. Rav Chanan, I think Matzor here is, yeah, it's like the Meitzah. I think it's a river. Yep. Rav Chanan min Aldo ikla Rav Kahana lepum nahara. Rav Chanan once met Rav Kahana while Rav Kahana was sitting by the bank of the river. Chazad Yosef Kagoras. Rav Kahana, obviously, what was he doing? What does an Amora do all day long? Sitting and learning. The kind of behema kamei, but there was an animal in front of him. Some sheep, something was walking around. Omer lei lo sova lomar afilu behema. Don't you hold of? Don't you think that a behema is an issue of yichud? And here alone with the behema with the Gemara. Omer lei lava datoi. I haven't noticed it. Mashma, if you would have noticed, it would be a problem. So before you chase away all the animals, let's look at Tosafos, and then I'll hear you. Says Tosafos, Nira dani amaroi chumra be'al kavdi. What these Amoraim did of removing themselves from behema is an extra chumra, extra stringency. V'anan kaimalan kerabonon Rabbi Yehuda. Yomu lo nechshedu Yisrael al mishkav zocher v'lo behema. Our opinion, la halacha, says Tosafos, that Bnei Yisrael are not nechshad, are not suspected to have relations men with another man or with a behema. Although, what we'll get to the Mishnah, we'll see it's not so simple with men. It's not so simple. It's better to stay away with anything. But me'ikar din, you can be alone with an animal. You can be alone in the same room with a man. To be in bed with a man is another shalah, like in dorms, technical reasons. That will be discussed tomorrow, Be'ezras Hashem. Questions? Yes. Let's just say goodbye to everybody. Thank you very much for being with us, people on Torah anytime, the Heilige, and YouTube. Atzlocha uvrocha. Yes. Time flies when you have fun.